All right, in this video, I'm just going to go over problem number 1 of your review sheet for exam number 4, and it reads this. Among the 2,200 passengers in a particular region, 247 had only rear license plates. Among 358 commercial trucks, 52 had only rear license plates. A reasonable hypothesis is that commercial truck owners violate laws requiring front license plates at a higher rate than owners of passenger cars. Use a 0.10 significance level to test that hypothesis. And here you're going to let P1, population 1, correspond to the passenger cars, and population 2 correspond to the commercial trucks. Let a success be a vehicle that only has a rear license plate. So here in part A, you're going to test a claim using a hypothesis test. In part B, you're going to test a claim by constructing an appropriate confidence interval. So in this problem here, now here I'm going to label some things here. I'm letting P1 correspond to the passenger cars. P2 corresponds to the commercial trucks. And the table that I'm going to create is this. P1 is, of course, for passenger cars. P2 corresponds to commercial trucks. And here I'll need X1 and N1 for the passenger cars. And then for commercial trucks, X2, N2. Now we're told among 2,200 passenger cars, that's going to be N1 for the passenger cars, 2,200 passenger cars. The 247 only had rear license plates, so that means X1 will have to be 247. And then going to the commercial trucks, which is represented by P2, among the 358 commercial trucks, that will be N sub 2. Only 52 only had rear license plates, so X2 would be 52 here. Okay. So that's just a table that I'm going to use here to help me do parts A and B, and that is, in part A, test a claim using a hypothesis test. So I'm testing the claim that commercial truck owners violate laws requiring front license plates at a higher rate than owners of passenger cars. So that 8-step hypothesis testing procedure is this. Step number 1, rewrite the original claim. Not opposite. Original claim is step number 1 in symbolic form. All right, P1 will have to correspond to P2. Now, in the problem, it does say that commercial truck owners violate laws at a higher rate than passenger cars. So if P1 represents passenger cars, I need to write an inequality that relates P1 to P2. That would have to be less than. And that's the way of saying that P2, the number of commercial truck owners violate laws at a greater rate than those owners of passenger cars. So P1 less than P2. That would be the original claim. Step number 2 is the opposite of the original claim. Well, the opposite of less than will have to be greater than or equal to. So P1 is greater than or equal to P2. Okay. And then from step number 3, using those 2 steps, I can write my null and alternative hypothesis. The one that will have to be the alternative hypothesis is that claim right there. P1 is less than P2. This will be the claim. the null always has the equal to sign in it, so P1 equals P2. That's always the case for the null hypothesis. And now step number 3 is given. Well, step number 4 is our level of significance. In the problem, it does say use a 0.10 significance level, so 0.10. Alpha is equal to 0.10. That's given to us in the original problem, as you can see. Now, step number 5 is using the graphing calculator, the TI-84 plus calculator, to come up with our test statistic, our z-test statistic. So I'm going to say here from the TI-84 plus, need to find out what z is. So here we go. So to do that, you have to press your stat key, right arrow over to test, and in this case, we're going to use what they call a 2-prop z-test. We're doing 2 proportions. So it's got to be a 2-prop z-test, which is this right here, this menu item that I have right here on the screen. So you can press enter there. All you'll have there is just x1, n1, x2, n2. So x1 is at 247, so we type in 247. And then n1 is 2,200. And then x2, 52. n2, 358. Now for P1, we have to select either not equal to P2, less than P2, or greater than P2. Here we need to look at our alternative hypothesis. It says less than P2. So we need to highlight the one that says less than P2. So we use our right arrow key to put the cursor on top of less than P2. Press enter, so that way it will be highlighted. And then use your down arrow key to go to calculate. Press enter. Here you'll get your z-test statistic. And if I was to round this off to 2 decimal places, this will be negative 1.80. Negative 1.80. That would be your test statistic. Step number 6. Also from the TI-84 plus calculator, we can get the p-value. That's a probability, again, the test statistic as extreme as the one that we've obtained from our summary statistics here. And right under the z is your p. That's your p-value right there. If I was to round this off to 3 decimal places, that would be 0.036. So there's your p-value right there. Step number 7 is the decision rule. And the decision rule is always this: if your p-value is less than or equal to alpha, you want to reject the null hypothesis. And in this case, our p-value from step number 6 is 0.036. The alpha level from step number 4 is 0.10. And we compare those two values. As you can see, that 0.036 is less than 0.10. So that means we can reject the null hypothesis. And if we reject the null hypothesis, let's think about this, how we write our conclusion statement. We're rejecting this null hypothesis. The alternative is your claim. Your claim is your alternative hypothesis here. So that means that there is sufficient evidence to support the claim that commercial truck owners violate laws requiring front license plates at a higher rate than owners of passenger cars. Okay, I realize that's a lot to write, but pretty much you are expected to write out what your conclusion statement is using simple non-technical terms. So all of this was part A. Now, part B in this case was to test the claim by constructing an appropriate confidence interval. Okay, so let's think about this. We have a one-tail test because the alternative hypothesis is less than, so it's a one-tail test. And we have an alpha level from step number 4 of 0.10. And from this chart that will be provided for you, 0.10, one-tail test means that your confidence level is 80%. Okay? So this means our confidence level equals 80%. Now, using the graphing calculator, we press the stat key and then go over to test. And in this case here, we're going to pick 2-prop Z interval. Keep going. 2-prop Z interval, which is this right here. Press enter. And then X1, it should still be 247. N1 is 2200. X2 is 52, and N2 is still 358. The confidence level, we need to change this to 80%. So we go down here to where confidence level is, change that to 80, or 0.80 if you want to, and then select calculate and press enter. Now, if I was to round this off to, let's say, 3 decimal places here, the lower limit would be, in this case, negative 0.058. And that'd be less than. And in the middle, you should have P1 minus P2 in parentheses, and less than. To 3 decimal places on the upper limit, it'll be negative 0.008. Okay, and that's all there is to it. So we can say here that we are 80% confident that the true difference in proportions of those commercial truck drivers or truck owners who violate laws and owners of passenger cars who violate the laws requiring front license plates falls between negative 0.058 and negative 0.08. And as you can see, they're both negative. Zero is not included. That means we can conclude that there is enough evidence to support the claim that commercial truck owners violate laws requiring front license plates at a higher rate than owners of passenger cars. Okay, so that's how we do problem number 1.